Hello and welcome to episode 49 of the HamCorp training manual. In this episode, we will migrate all our special ore processing methods into the new ore processing wing, built during the livestream. We will also finish the rest of the ore processing setup. I spent some time re-evaluating this bauxite setup, and it's mostly okay. There are a few upgrades I could make. I also tested out how fast purified bauxite is made in this ore washing plant, and it's 8 per second. So I've tried to make sure that all of the upgrades in this bauxite line are going to be able to handle at least 8 purified bauxite per second. First of all, this mixer is going to have to be upgraded to an EV mixer, but bringing this up to EV is quite a large EU cost. So I'm going to use this as an excuse to upgrade to a multi-block mixer. Plus that is just easier to upgrade as well, because all I have to do is switch out the energy hatch. So when I upgrade the chemical bath, I just need to switch out the energy hatch to upgrade the mixer instead of having to make a brand new mixer. To keep up with the sodium hydroxide consumption, I'm also going to need an EV large chemical reactor for that. The oil cracker can remain HV, and the EU cost of the recipe that happens in here is so low that the minimum coil blocks are probably fine. To make this quicklime from the calcite, I am going to need an EV large chemical reactor. And this existing LCR needs to be upgraded to EV as well. This is what makes the slag and the sluice juice from the heated bauxite slurry. And then finally, I'm going to get rid of this electromagnetic separator thing, and instead I'm just going to commit to I'm going to commit to one centrifuge, and that centrifuge is going to handle both the slag and the sluice juice, because it's going to be a multi-block centrifuge. And that one will also be at EV. As for the rutile to titanium, I haven't thought about that yet. So let me upgrade the bauxite first, and then we'll come back to rutile titanium. I'm also wondering where to put this. I kind of like the idea of this space just being empty, and this space below also just being empty. In fact, I want to lower the floor here a little bit so it matches the rest of this plat line. And then I could maybe do the plat line down here, the rest of the plat line. So both the tungsten steel and the bauxite plus rutile, I'm going to try and find a new place to put this. And I think I want to make another extension to this building to the west, because there is a lot of space this way. Well, here it is. Here's the building. You must be wondering why there was no time lapse. And the answer is technical difficulties. But the whole building process was streamed. This was what the live stream was. So if you do want to see the whole process, you can watch the video. It is quite long. It's like 3 hours long. I did a little bit more. I also added this glass ceiling, as every corporation should have, just because I didn't want these buildings to be snowed on anymore. But here's the main thing. This is the ore processing building extension. There's some really cool things here. For example, these catwalks. I like these catwalks a lot. They are quite flexible in terms of what faces of the block show. So using a wrench, you can hide a face of the block. And then also you can use it as a really thin roof, because you can hide all of the fences. This is like a 1 pixel thick roof, basically. But yeah, overall, quite happy with this building. So now I'm gonna rip these up. Well, first I need to craft that big list of machines I talked about before. But after that, I'm going to rip these up and I'm gonna put everything back together in the new wing. So to make the industrial mixing machine, we need an IV mixer, but we also need 2 new alloys. We need zirconium carbide, which is just a mixer recipe, and then you smelt the dust. Carbon is fine, but zirconium you get from sifting ilmenite, which I'm not going to do, or sifting tin, which I am going to do. And in fact, I have been doing sifting cassiterite and sifting tin. So I do have some zirconium already, a little less than 500, which is plenty for now. And then the last alloy that we need is stab alloy, which is titanium plus uranium-238. Nothing special about these. It's just mixer and then smelt it, or mixer and then blast it. And then the casings are kind of more of the same. What the fuck? Okay. I don't know how these pigs got in here. That's weird. Well, that was very strange. I don't know what that was. It is done. I decided not to show it because I've shown you the bauxite line before, so I didn't think this was too interesting, but I will make some comments here. First of all, we use a multi-block mixer now, and of course we've upgraded certain things to multi-block versions, and we've condensed the centrifuge steps into one single centrifuge step. So both the slag and the sluice juice are processed here. And we export these products directly into this blue net. So let me come back to what these are. So this was a little confusing, but I have 3 networks here. So the red one is our main net. The blue one is our ore processing subnet, the same one that connects to everything over here. And the yellow one is the new, I guess, special ore processing subnet. And I had to make a couple of connections here. I don't think I'm going to be able to explain this very well, but the blue net, which is our ore processing, has a storage bus connected to this subnet's interface. And in the storage bus, currently, I only have purified bauxite ore. And this is where I'm going to put all of the different things that have their own special processing methods, like purified ruby dust, purified sapphire dust, crushed ilmenite ore, that kind of thing. All of those are going to go in this storage bus. And so everything that's over there is going to be stored in this yellow sub network. This subnet also has no storage except for the input buses of these machines. The same concept as what we used for the main ore processing. But here in the sub ore processing, we have a storage bus here for the purified bauxite, send it to a mixer, and then blah, 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 blah. We get our final products. And these I'm sending to the main ore processing subnet. But because all of these outputs are going to be different dusts, they get sent into this blue network where, because there's no storage, it will send it to the red network. And I'm doing it through the blue network. And now you might wonder, why didn't I just send it straight to the red network? Fuck you. Anyway, moving on. The only reason the red network is even here, actually, is because I needed to supply sodium dust, aluminum hydroxide, and carbon dust for this special ore processing. And in a sense, this feels cleaner in my head. This is like a subset of ore processing, right? So the output should go back into ore processing. So in some ways, I'm happy with this. And it works, so I can't complain. But you could send it straight to the main network. That would also be fine. Now I need to move this rutile to titanium line, I guess. It's just a couple of machines. I have some more work to do. And none of it is really new, so I think I am not going to show most of it. Alright, so I'm just gathering materials for upgrading the rutile line, but I tried to make it so that I could match the rate of rutile processing for a quad blast furnace, and that needs a multi-block electrolyzer. The casing was actually not bad. It's pretty cheap, actually. But the controller, and I forgot about this already, I need stellite. And to make stellite, I need HSSG. And to make HSSG coils, I need an IV assembler. Making the wire is actually not that hard. It's just a very long wait, but that's fine, I guess. So I guess I'm just going to make a single IV assembler for now. And I'm just going to use a transformer and manually craft these coils. Then I can finish the rutile to titanium line. And actually, by doing this, this means I can even finish the rest of the ore processing, like the electrolysis and the centrifuging of dusts afterwards. Kind of doing 2 things at once now. Well, I'll see you in 2 hours.
2 hours later.
Oh yeah, look at that. Delicious. I also used my extra coils to upgrade the other blast furnaces. I even upgraded the multi-smelter from Canthal to nichrome. And now we can make stellite. Making the stellite dust is nothing special. It's just cobalt, chrome, manganese, titanium. Pretty easy. I decided to go with making the tungsten steel reinforced borosilicate glass block that is needed for the IV electrolyzer. There are a few options actually, but I found that this one was probably the easiest one to get. Alpha Glass's Botania, which I haven't touched at all yet, and thorium yttrium glass blocks are blasting yttrium oxide and thorionite, which I don't think I have either of those. Plus I'd have to make one of these blast furnaces IV. So this was just easier. So I'm gonna go with this. Alright, check this out. I've added a lot of stuff. So I moved the rutile to titanium. I've also upgraded to a quad blast furnace and a quad vacuum freezer. I also put together the ilmenite processing, which is just a simple chemical bath that uses sulfuric acid. It looks like water, but it's sulfuric acid. And the ilmenite slag dust, we actually send to the same centrifuge that we've been sending bauxite slag dust. So this one can handle both of them, along with the sluice juice. And I also moved the juicer. So this is going to make ruby juice and sapphire juice. And yeah, I think the downstairs is pretty much complete. So we have bauxite, we have ilmenite, and we have rutile to titanium. Now it's time to move the tungsten steel line. I'm going to upgrade to a quad EBF for this as well. And I think I'm going to divide this up into 2 parts. So the first step is going to be taking it from tungstate to tungstic acid. And then the second part is going to go from tungstic acid to tungsten steel, and also tungsten itself. I'm going to add another quad EBF specifically for making tungsten ingots. And the reason I want to split this up is because I haven't been processing my scheelite. So I just have almost 10k scheelite just sitting in storage doing nothing. Because this whole setup is a loop, I cannot just introduce the scheelite in here. So I'm going to have to process it separately. And the end product of that processing is also tungstic acid. So I think it would make sense to have tungstic acid be kind of a checkpoint, and then that gets processed further into tungsten steel and tungsten. But making all of these upgrades, I'm also going to try and match rates. So try to upgrade everything as needed so that it's able to keep up with a quad EBF for tungsten and a quad EBF for tungsten steel. Though those recipes are very slow, so it should be quite easy to keep up with those. Here we are. Tungsten steel and tungsten smelting as we speak. This is the tungstate to tungstic acid, along with the scheelite to tungstic acid. I added basically a chem reactor and electrolyzer. That's basically it. And then the tungsten trioxide production. This EBF makes tungsten steel. This EBF makes tungsten, and this one vacuum freezer can handle both. So yeah, looks pretty good, I think. The fuck? Pigs don't they don't reproduce, right? Like, I need to feed them? Oh shit, he just died. Okay, I'm gonna forget about that. Now I am currently crafting up another centrifuge and another electrolyzer. And you know what? We are going to finish the last bit of ore processing today. After that, I plan on bringing this floor down and expanding the plat line to cover the rest of the plat line. Because to make the IV sensor and emitter, we're going to need iridium, which we do not have. And I want to work on the emitter and sensor because I want to make the IV circuit assembler, because that will give us access to the next tier of circuits. But I think before that, I'm finally going to get around to making this bending machine multiblock / forming press multiblock, because this is overdue. Like, I should have done this a long time ago. So I'm going to do this. I want to do the wire mill. I want to do the extrusion machine. I'm going to do all of these probably in the next episode. But for now, we're going to finish up the ore processing. I've designated this half, or third, I guess, of the ore processing facility for the electrolyzer and centrifuge. Now, the thing with these ones is the number of output buses and hatches is a little not totally clear to me, because different dusts have different outputs, different numbers of outputs, and some of them even have fluid outputs. This is probably something that's going to change as I teach it more recipes. So for now, let's start with the simplest possible thing: an output bus for each of them, an input bus for each of them. And if I remember correctly, there are even some program circuit variations. So we may even need multiple input buses. But now I'm going to finish up with the rest of the casings connected up to AE2. Now, because there is no easy way to distinguish between final product dusts and these electrolyzable or centrifugal dusts, I'm going to connect these machines directly to my mainnet and just export the dusts as needed. Okay, I'm just going through my dusts right now. I think this is going to vary depending on your needs for how to set this up. Lazurite kind of has no use really, except to be electrolyzed. And this is all solids, so that's easy. Apatite also, I believe, has no uses. I mean, you can make fertilizer, but But apatite dust has chlorine as an output, so I do need an output hatch for this. Pyrite is also simple. Then we have barite. Now barite makes oxygen, which is like, I'm already making infinite oxygen, so I'm happy to just void this. Basically, I need to go through all of these and decide for each one. So if I see anything interesting, I'll bring it up. Otherwise, I'm just going to go through all of my dusts and then decide what goes where. Alright, this is going. I've done a bunch of different dusts here, and there are a couple of weird ones that I've noticed so far, like spessartine. Electrolyzing it is, it's okay. But if you do the centrifuge recipe, there's a chance at tantalum, and also sluice juice, which is all of this other stuff. I mean, it's a tiny, tiny amount, but still. And then almandine, chance of chrome. That's nice. I think it's worth it over this kind of garbage recipe. But both of those need nitric acid, so I'm going to have to start producing some nitric acid to do that. Also, for the electrolyzer, I am voiding oxygen. I am voiding hydrogen. I'm storing fluorine. I'm storing chlorine. And of course the solid outputs. There's some other things that I noticed here. The magnetite, like I could electrolyze it. I would get 3 iron for 7 magnetite. And I'd be voiding the oxygen, so that's it. But I could just smelt the magnetite, and then I would get 7 iron for 7 magnetite. So I'm going to make a multi-smelter and put it over here, because there are more dusts that would be better off being processed like that. So there's the magnetite, of course. There's roasted iron dust. I mean, ideally you put this in a blast furnace, but whatever. Multi-smelter is fine. Also limonite, brown and yellow, both of them. It's better to just smelt these because I'm voiding the hydrogen and oxygen. So I'm going to put down a multi-smelter, and I'm going to keep teaching more dusts over here. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. We had to cut this episode short because of an urgent meeting with the HamCorp Security Council. Not to worry, there is no breach of the HamCorp company town, and you are totally safe in your office homes. Probably. In the next episode, we will build the multi-block versions of the bender, extruder, and wire mill. There will likely be time beyond that to start working on the rest of the plat line, in hopes of obtaining iridium. See you next time.